Hey gang, guess who VTube Studio Copy decided to just stop working all of a sudden? It's mine! So we got 3D paths for today. We got my 3D form. I'm still not super used to using what do you call this thing? VC face. I'm still not used to I'm always impressed that I can do this. I do love spinning around like this, but it's not like intuitive to me, I miss being flat. I miss being two-dimensional. Send me back. Anyway, I was designing this character here who is going to be involved in the last few panels of the comic. This is Gora. She's based on an iguana. I have a deep affection for iguanas. They're one of my favorite lizards. Top three, top one easily. Honestly, I won't play like I don't have a bias towards iguanas. I do really like iguanas. There was this park near where I grew up not very near to where I grew up. This park that I went to a couple times as a kid. Bunch of iguanas just hanging out there. They were like pigeons. Much more dangerous than pigeons, I imagine. Iguanas don't generally bite, unless you do something really dumb, like try to pet them. I do know they can smack you with their tail. I do know that they have been known to do that. All right, but we were working on this thing. Okay, so first thing I'm noticing, Hawk is a little bit big in this panel. The perspective feels a little bit off. There we go. Gotta keep the wings parallel to the ground. Again, it's very interesting. Whenever characters are flying or something, they're usually flying with like magic or with some kind of interesting wing setup. So it's very rare for me to, or at least the ones that I've encountered so far, they fly without the use of technological assistance. So it's a new experience, or they're just floating like in Dragon Ball. God, there's a lot of martial arts stuff from Dragon Ball which I wish was real, but if I had to pick one, it would definitely be the ability to fly. I wish people could fly for real. We would have so many bad things happen, but it would be funny for at least a little bit for us to fly. Actually, come to think of it, this whole kind of perspective needs to be a little flattened too. Like so. I don't know how safe it is to have these tents so close to where the hole is. I don't know. Imagine you're trying to, yeah, especially not the vehicle one. I feel like the vehicle one is kind of just an accident waiting to happen. Imagine you're it's the middle of the night. You need to go to the latrine or something, and by accident you fall into the 3-meter deep hole that they're using to unearth the artifacts of an ancient civilization. They would need to lock the doors to and from the latrine, just in case somebody forgets that little thing. I mean, I don't know. There should be a good 10-meter, maybe 5-meter kind of space between there. Oh my! Why aren't my captions loading? Hang on. That's odd. Where did I put my captions? Oh, here we go. Is there any way that I can refresh this? Oh, there we go. Okay, no, they just needed a moment. I wonder if they're also feeling a little bit burned out. This week's been a bit tough, I'm not gonna lie. But we hang in there. We keep our heads up. There's still plenty of time for good things to happen. Actually, I'm just gonna bump up these trees a little bit again. Dude, I want to go to an alien world and see trees that are like as thick around as a house. I do like that I just have Gora here with a tiny arrow. All right, hang on. Let me give her like a pad or something, like a clip on tablet to work with. Okay, so for this next one, I was picturing it two ways, right? I was thinking either, and I'm going to do this on a separate layer because I do not want to mess with the work that I've already created. I could either have it like with Horatio very close to the camera and being like, yo, like, kind of holding up his arm like this, like, hey, hey. Okay, got the horns here. It always felt weird that like different things can be like such different shapes can all be kind of like categorized as horns, right? Like the horns on a ram, for example. I figured that those would always have like a different word for them because they just look so different compared to like most of what you'd consider horns. But no, horns are just kind of like protrusions. Speaking of protrusions, I forgot to draw. All right, which side did he have the horn on? I think it was this side. There we go. Yeah, and like on here too. You guys are gonna love what I've done with Horatio's shirt. It's got like a little Miss Frizzle pattern on it. It's gonna be great. This is the wrong layer. Man, I really gotta like make myself or commission somebody for a better 3D model. Like not to rag on myself, but this model was made when I literally learned Blender to learn how to make this model, and it kind of shows a little bit. I don't know. The main difficulty with 3D models is that it's very difficult. Like the main difficulty that I ran into isn't so much the actual modeling itself, right? That's just kind of like a skill issue. If I cultivate that long enough, it's going to be easy. The main issue is just the technology, right? Like to give you a rough idea of like how making a 3D model from scratch would work. First, you make the model in Blender, which is the simple part. Then you have to like it's like 5 different steps. I forgot exactly, but basically you have to port it to from Blender to Unity, or like rig it in Blender, port it to Unity, apply this like what do you call this technology made by the people who made the program that we're using, VC Face. Like it basically converts your model into one that can be read. I was about to say written to one that can be read by VC Face. That hand is that hand too big? It might be a little bit too big. I'm gonna shrink it down a little, just a hair. Anyway, it converts to one that it can be used in VC Face. But the problem is that like it's a very narrow scope of use, this program. A very like I know we had like a VTuber boom, right? We be in that VTuber boom. We like the VTuber boom is an ongoing phenomenon. But like this is still relatively a very small kind of industry, right? Like we've got I don't remember how many. Like, let me do some statistical research on this, right? So I'm gonna go on Twitch. I'm gonna look up how many people stream on Twitch daily, right? So I'm gonna look up Twitch statistics and charts. All right. So live viewers right now, 2 million live viewers. Live channels now about 116,000, which sounds. I actually think that's kind of small. Like I expected it to be more for some reason. But yeah, 116,000 live channels right now. Okay, and then of those active streamers, I'm not sure how I can look this up. I might just go on Twitch and see if I can get the statistics directly here. I'm gonna look up VTuber category, right? Like, I'm gonna look up like VTuber as a. Is there a category for that? Yeah, live channels tag VTuber. All right, we go to live channels tag as VTuber. Does it say how many are live right now? Sorts them by language. Hang on, maybe if I hang on, what about okay, VTuber. VTuber. Okay, categories, channels. Nope. Stats, channels, games. Like I do wonder if there's like a way to like figure out how many are tagged, how many are live tagged Twitch. Maybe I can do that through there. That does remind me. Isn't there like an 18 like a maturity rating thing now in Twitch? I didn't see that in my creator stuff. Wait, do I need to like hang on? I'm gonna check out something real quick. Channel classification. Oh, here we go. Content labels. Let's see. Drugs, intoxication, or excessive tobacco use? No, I am a straight edge. Gambling? Probably not. I don't play gotcha games. Significant profanity or vulgarity? Oh, yeah. Sexual themes? Not really. Violent and graphic depictions? Probably not. Okay. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Branded content? No. Rerun? No. This is live. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Labeling not required. Oh, okay, so you got to slap on the significant profanity or vulgarity label if you use strong language. It's a regular or defining part of your stream. No, that actually makes me laugh a little bit. A regular or defining part of your stream. Like welcome back to Cuss Masters 999. We're back here with the hottest, most illegal cusses. Use terms like the F word, the C word, or the P word in every other sentence. You must notify users. Okay, I don't use it that regularly, but I should probably tag it just in case. I do have something of a potty mouth that is my defect. But okay, so we're cool if we have labeling not required, intermittent use of vulgar language, brief occasional outbursts, or more frequent use of mild profanity. Damn, e.g. terms like damn, shit, or ass. Okay, that's It's always weird being the guy that has to decide, okay, this swear is worse than this other swear. Like, obviously, in some cases, it's very obvious, like, in some cases, it's extremely obvious. But other than that, I wonder, like, how easy it is to draw the line, right? Like, I was allowed to toss around the word crap when I was, like, 13, 10 years old. All right? Like, I was permitted. I had the license. That does remind me, though. Where is that? Okay, how do I use a Twitch tracker to see this? Hang on. Games. Channel. Stream time. Watch time. I guess it'd be a little bit harder to track. Yeah. Like there's 116,000 channels live right now, right? I'm betting you that less than 10% of those are probably VTubers. And to be fair, less than 10% is like a maximum of like 11,000 of like, yeah, it'd be like a maximum of like 1,000 at a time, which is still a lot. But like it's still a relatively very small amount. Which was the point that I was trying to make. But with your help, we can continue to increase that amount each year. I don't know. The VTuber world domination mission, I feel, is not the same as it was in previous years. I feel like we've, to some extent, made it. We could make it more, to be fair, but like, okay, maybe it's not that the hand is too small or like too big, but that the head itself could be a bit smaller. Maybe that's the issue. Oh, I took a bite out of the arm right there. My bad. And I'm gonna like put Gora back here. She's gonna be like half turned around. Yeah, I feel like this kind of like deer on the headlights look would be good for her. There we go. And she's gonna be like very kind of like tight, I guess would be the word, like high strung. Like you just caught her like with her hand in a jar of cookies. I love characters who look like they're having like that, like they're being hunted for sport at any given time. I think those characters are very entertaining, might not be the right word. They're very interesting in how they express themselves. Like they give a good opportunity for the artists to really kind of like flex their like cartooniness, which I think is always a good thing. Can't forget the tail. Tail is vitally important. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Let's put her a little bit closer to like the center of the frame, so we have a nice kind of a, what's it called, the rule of three? Like that thing where in art you break it into like rule of thirds? Yeah, I think it was rule of thirds. I could also try to like squeeze her into like one of these frames. You know, she's just kind of like hiding behind a ratio in that regard. Oh, you know what would actually like help a lot? The tail. If the tail could go like directly upwards, like, oh man, bro, you could not trust me to have a tail. That thing would be swinging. I would be so easy to read if I had a tail. I mean, I'm easy to read already, right? Like, I'm already like like. I feel like I'm not someone who very easily hides his emotions, right? If I'm not happy about something, or if I'm like off about something, it's very. I feel like I'm generally very easy and predictable to read. I take that as a point of pride, you know. I feel like if that's how I am, then like it lets people like communicate with me more easily. Although there have been times where it's like not beneficial, but like I can't think of that many. So I'm guessing it's overall a good thing. Hmm. I kind of have an idea for how she kind of like walks up to the place. Like she's supposed to be like this very shy, very kind of mousy person, right? But like I'm almost thinking that like instead of like cowering, like when you have like somebody who has like a fight or flight instinct, I wonder if she might like hmm. So I'm going to try and draw something, right? And I'm gonna like see how it works out. I actually kind of like how this looks already. Like this feels like a very natural kind of transition. We have the 180 rule, right? I talked about it last time, I think. Well, last time was like a week ago. No, that was 5 days ago. My memory of this week has been really bad. Like I'm not usually somebody who has like a fantastic memory of like when things happened. I feel like this week where I haven't streamed much. I don't know. I've gotten too used to streaming, I think. I've just felt tremendously of it. I just haven't felt as fulfilled as I normally do this week. I don't know. Maybe that's like a bunch of different factors coming together, but I do think I miss streaming. I miss just hanging out and shooting the breeze like this. Now that like the Twitch profanity thing has like kind of like entered my brain, I feel like I'm almost being too self conscious to swear. Maybe this is what's gonna maybe this will be what like gets me to stop cussing all the time. Well, I don't do it all the time, but I do it pretty regularly. Hmm. I don't know. If anybody has experience in teaching themselves how to avoid swearing, by all means, teach me your ways. I don't know. I reckon it's just a matter of like being conscious about it, right? Like with a lot of the good thing is that like unlike vow of silence. Hey Tapas, how you doing? That is one way to do it. There are plenty of people who stream without saying anything at all. And they got like mad recognition. Taking a vow of silence might not actually be that hard. At least on camera, right? Like I would have to. Okay, vow of silence is generally not like an on-camera, off-character thing. Like it's not usually part of like a K-phobby for people who take a vow of silence. It's like a very deeply spiritual thing, I imagine. I feel like a vow of silence is one of those things that you always like hear about, but like never like actually meet somebody who does actually do it. Like I'm guessing it was like one or two like big schools that did it. I don't know. Let me Wikipedia this. I don't know how common vows of silence are. A vow of silence is a vow to maintain silence. No kidding, huh? Although it's commonly associated with monasticism, no major monastic order takes a vow of silence. Okay, so it isn't like just it's actually the opposite of what I thought. There's no like one school that's just like nobody talk ever. Which makes sense because that would be very like non-conductive to running a monastic school, I believe. Okay. Silence is often seen as essential to the deepening a relationship with God. It is also considered a virtue in some religions. The Great Silence is a period of time beginning at the canonical hour of Compline, in which vocalists are silent till the first office of the next day lauds. Huh. Yeah, okay. So some religious orders do have like specific times and places where speaking is absolutely prohibited unless like completely necessary, like saying, "Brother Friar, your robe is on fire." Even outside of these times and places, useless and idle words are forbidden. All right, so maybe that's not such a bad idea though. Like that, a good end to water cooler talk. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Buddhist monks who take a vow of silence often carry an iron staff, kakara, which makes metallic noise to frighten away animals. Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Since they cannot speak, the rattle of the staff also announces their arrival when they start begging for alms. Interesting. There's all kinds of like different ways to express your beliefs and your spirituality. I think that's really interesting that there's one in particular where it's just like not talking. Because if you think about it, it's very unusual to like, talking is kind of like how you interact with the world around you. So kind of like thinking about avoiding doing that is almost like saying like, hmm, I don't know. It's definitely I'm probably not qualified to speak on that, to be perfectly honest. So I'm not gonna try. But I do think it's incredible how many different like ways there are to express your convictions. I think that's awesome. I was thinking about how to depict this last panel. Right. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So my idea is to have like Hawk over here, just kind of like chilling with the helmet. I don't like that I'm cutting out the elbows there. I might make her smaller. Can't forget the jetpack. Okay, square that up. No, it's something. Yeah, the one thing that I do find hilarious about like most of my work on this comic is that I'm the guy who I've designed like a lot of different like little components about it, right? Like the jetpack and such. So the problem is that like if it's off model, I don't have an excuse because I'm the guy who designed it. It creates a very interesting sense of accountability that I remember one time I was talking with Raph, right? I'm like, I don't know what this is supposed to look like. And he's like, my brother in Christ, you designed it. I don't know. It's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling of like, okay, so it makes me take ownership of the design in like a way that I haven't really done before. I'm always gonna remember that one conversation. It's just really funny to me, and it is true. Like particularly in how true it is. Like, yeah, you're right. I am kind of responsible for creating this. Yeah. Speaking of designs, I saw a place on the web called the webdesign.museum.org, right? It's webdesign.designmuseum.org. It's this place that essentially archives it's not like the Wayback Machine. It's similar to the Wayback Machine in that it archives old pages, but it specifically archives old pages of like different brands. So like they had like I saw like the different like the pages of like McDonald's, like what do you call it? Of like Apple, Roblox as well. There were a couple of different brands on there, and they just like kind of showcased how their homepage designs have changed over time. And That reminded me a lot of like that one time I took around a tour of like the NeoCities site. If you haven't heard of NeoCities, there was this thing called like GeoCities way back in the day, like, but probably before I was born, to be honest, called GeoCities, which was a large user base of websites. And they were obviously all very customized. It was like the beginning of like the internet, right? So all these had like these crazy retro customizations that looked really cool and unique and interesting. And some weren't that good because, again, just the beginning of the internet, we hadn't quite figured out like graphic design on the web just yet. But some of them were just genuinely fascinating. And if you guys remember Hypnospace Outlaw, that game I played, a lot of them that game was like a throwback to those kinds of pages, right? Where it was just like one person HTML in a dream and a mission. And it was great. And you could actually see how some of that transformed over time. What hit me the hardest, to be honest, is probably the YouTube homepage. Like they also had the homepage for YouTube on there, and I realized that I forgot what YouTube used to look like. Like it's just always been kind of similar to me because I remember the like YouTube player more than the actual homepage itself. But I realized that like I didn't recognize the YouTube homepage until like maybe 2018, 2017. And that was insane to me. Like I thought that I knew like the older YouTube page. To be honest, it looked kind of awful, but I suppose that's a matter of perspective. Hmm. Okay, this is kind of like the beginning of Hawk's Undercut. I kind of the one thing I will say is very difficult about Hawk. I'm generally not a huge undercut guy, right? It's not usually my instinct to give the characters I design undercuts. So doing it for Hawk was always kind of interesting. And now my biggest struggle is making sure that she doesn't look like those Da Vinci twins. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. Hang on, Da Vinci twins. Like in some of the perspectives, I need to avoid making her look like these guys. Like, don't get me wrong, they seem like perfectly nice young men, but it'll kind of kill the vibe a little bit that I'm trying to cultivate here. I should probably like draw some more sweat on Hawk in these panels. It is supposed to be kind of like a hot climate, I think. Yeah, the other idea for the perspective on this panel was to kind of like have it be from like the camera angle closer to Gora, having it kind of like this. Okay, then just have the little neck around here. This is going to be a ratio. I what I am looking forward to is like being a little bit more freeform with how I do these because like I don't know if I told you all this. Originally, I made the first issue of this comic under the impression that it was always going to be like a black and white. Maybe making like a color version someday, but like you know. Then, like, I was informed that like all the other comics for the anthology that we were hoping to get this into were gonna be in color, and I was like, well, shit. Then I'm not gonna let us be left out. But the problem is that like all the line work and all the different like artwork for that one had been intended for black and white. But this time I'm like going into it with color from the beginning, which is going to be very exciting for me. Whoops. Beef the arm there, but and just kind of like how I can play around with that because I feel like when I have like when I have like an extreme like that, right? I kind of tend to have like very shallow. How do I put this? Like, I'm someone who works well with like some limitations, but not too many, right? Like, if I have very specific like rules in mind, I can do some great stuff within those rules. But I need those rules to kind of like begin with, because otherwise, I just kind of like flounder around a little bit, right? I work best with constraints. Okay, there we go. And kind of like this. Making these silhouettes is also kind of fun. I also like doing this where it's just like very big, bold lines. There we go. Oh, yeah. Speaking of like design and like development, I was actually I did a little bit more research into that one Apple conference where they announced that stupid VR headset, right? And obviously the VR headset was like the kind of like headline act for that one, right? Like that was like what they were like really hoping would sweep the audience. Obviously, it didn't. Like, if I remember correctly, there was actually like a groan from the audience when they announced the price tag for that VR headset. But I found out that apparently they're also trying to introduce a game porting toolkit for Mac computers, because the thing is, right, because it's a different operating system, you can't just like directly play games with a Mac. You need to use either specially developed code for it, or you need to use one of these supporting tools. I think Wine is a very popular one. I remember I had a MacBook which was like very cheap because like I got it through my school when I was a teenager. It's like this one that I've had since like 2015. I still use it pretty regularly as like a kind of like, it's very useful for like PDF stuff. There's this app there called Preview, which is very how do I put this, like multifaceted. You can edit PDFs on there very easily. So I've never had to pay for like Adobe Acrobat or anything. I just have to boot up my old Mac, and that kind of works pretty great for me. God, I think like if I didn't have like that ability to edit PDF on my Mac, I would probably be a lot more versed in using Acrobat, if only through like the local library's computers. God, I love the local library's computers. It's very interesting because you can kind of see it's like a little peek into like the most popular ongoings of the neighborhood. Like you'll see which apps are which things are like installed on there. You're like, oh, okay, cool. So this is like what is generally needed for most people because library computers they're not super powerful. They're not particularly strong. At least that's my impression of them. They're very much like tractors in that they're not particularly powerful, but they are designed to do one specific job and do it well. I don't know that again. I might just be ignorant. Maybe library computers are the strongest on Earth. Maybe I don't even know. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to tell you guys this, but Deep Blue was actually like 3 library computers from the time, just kind of like stacked together in a trench coat, and it almost beat that one dude. What's his face? I genuinely forgot the guy that like got like contracted to beat Deep Blue. I keep naming Deep Blue as like they're definitely strong. Once back in school, we're able to handle almost anything we threw at it. Oh. Yeah, that's true. Like, I had the perspective of like library computers being like fairly weak due to like the general kind of underfunding that libraries experience. But conversely, they're also supposed to be like for public use by basically anyone. So it makes sense that they're actually surprisingly souped up under the hood. I remember there was like a name for like these like racing cars, right? Like for like street racing, they had these cars which just looked like normal, regular cars, but actually had a lot of fine tuning under the hood. Because a lot of racing cars, from what I understand, for street racing, are generally supposed to be a little bit tricked out, right? Like they have some flourishes, they have some filigree to them. So having just like some guy named like Dylan show up with his Hyundai 2007, his Ford Freestar from like 1988, and just show up to the race and somehow sweep the entire competition. Actually, I don't know. I made up those names. I know the Ford Freestar is a real car. Is there one from 1988? Okay, no. At the time, that would have been the Ford Aerostar, which was from 1985 to 1997. So it's not even 1998. Take a look at this guy, though. I kind of like the look of it. I'm actually kind of a fan of it. Okay, it was succeeded by the Ford Windstar, which was from 1995 to 2003. This would have been the 1988 car. That is, to me, a severe downgrade. I don't know. I just like how boxy the front of this one is. What happens if we go like one back? Like, what's the predecessor? Okay, no, the first minivan produced by Ford. Okay, so this is like the original. This is like the first minivan that Ford produced. I like the look of this one. I miss this kind of like tan color, tan with black on cars. It's almost like a station wagon kind of color palette, but like different. God, those were the days. You could just put wood paneling on anything and people would buy it. Now, I don't know. I feel like it is a little bit of a shame that station wagons are like less common now, because nowadays when I see a car that's like this long with like this much in the back, I assume it's a hearse. This looks like a horror comic panel. Although it does have like definitely has like a much different vibe. It's way too menacing. We can't have this second one. Anyway, I was gonna have which panel is this? Okay, I see. I'm gonna call this layer panel 3. That's 4. That's panel 4. Panel 4 V1, and I'm gonna call this one panel 4 V2. Ugh. Phew. I tell you, today has just definitely been like a maximum sleepy energy kind of day. I went to see Spider Verse and I still felt sleepy after that. Like, how does that happen? Don't get me wrong. Like, I massively enjoyed the new Spider Verse movie, but like, I don't know how I managed to be sleepy afterwards. I went home and took a nap like directly. Man, what a great movie! Spider Verse is like one of those anime. Like, the thing is, right? Animated movies. I have a lot of people that I know who are definitely into like cartoons well into their adult years, right? Like a lot of people that I roll with. I mean, for fuck's sakes, I have I'm part of the my like the whole person who inspired me to streaming V is like a tokusatsu VTuber. She watches children's shows for made in Japan, and they are awesome. Don't get me wrong, Tokusatsu is very awesome, but like, I don't generally watch cartoons. I'm not that guy, right? I'm not the cartoon guy, and but I do know a lot of people who do like cartoons in kind of like among the circles that I roll in, and a lot of times they're like, this cartoon is really good. This cartoon sucks. This cartoon is decent. The one that I felt this the most for was probably the Owl House. Like I think that shows up. Like I'm like everybody keeps saying how good the Owl House is, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna watch that. I'm not. I'm not gonna watch a cartoon probably for like unless like it's like completely and utterly life changing, which it might be. It might very well be, and I'll never know. But I'm okay with that uncertainty. Anyway, uh, when the first Spider Verse came out, everybody was hyping it up. Like the first Spider Verse came out in 2018, right? I would have just been starting university, and I don't think I actually watched the first Spider Verse until like 2021, and I was like impressed by how good it was. Like I don't generally watch movies in one sitting, right? Like if I'm watching them by myself, I generally take my time with movies, right? I watch them a little bit and then I like pause and go and leave and do something else for a while, then I come back. That's how I handle most TV shows as well, right? Like an episode of Columbo, I just kind of have it on in the background and then I pause it and then I come back to it. Spider Verse, I was glued to my seat the entire time. It was such a good movie, the first one, and the second one was like equally good. Like the two like I read that it had like 2 hours and 47 minutes runtime, which I have no problem believing. But I was like grabbed immediately. Like I was like not I was glued to my seat the entire time. I was not leaving to pee or anything. So yeah, damn good movie. Damn good movie. Who knows? I might actually catch the I might actually catch the third one in the trilogy the week it comes out rather than like 3 weeks afterwards. Everybody's memed on Spider Verse by now. I'm late to the party for sure. Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. So for my computer, it has those like weather alerts right on the near to the bottom right. I haven't I haven't figured out how to turn them off, and they're generally kind of harmless, so I just leave them on. This one's telling me that the sunset is coming, which I don't think I've seen that before. I don't think I've seen it like tell me that there's going to be a sunset soon before. Okay, and then we're gonna have a ratio kind of like being pushed back almost a little bit. There we go. Making like hats like this is always a bit of an issue for me. Make the brim too wide and you suddenly turn it into a cowboy hat, which isn't what we're going for. Make it too flat like this, and it looks like I'm trying to like make him look like Walter White. But make it not too flat like this, and it looks like he's in some kind of like fedora, and we're not having that. Don't get me wrong, fedoras are perfectly innocent hats, but their association with gross dudes is like well documented. I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen that many fedora guys these days. I still see the odd one here and there, you know, kind of like how you spot a rare bird in the wild. But I feel like well, to be fair, I wasn't like around for their heyday, right? Hmm. Yeah, I used to own a lot of fedoras, but that was more of a general affection for hats rather than anything like that. That hand is way too small. Maybe a little smaller. Not that big, like decently big. Like there we go. Yeah, yeah. We were talking about like library computers earlier. I found out that apparently, and this is kind of like tangentially related to it. So I found out that apparently there was this one program called Figma, right? Like I don't remember what it looks like. Hang on, Figma program. Yeah. Is this the one? I don't know what would be like. Okay, here might be this might be a good example. So this is like so from what I understood, right? Figma was almost like Google SketchUp in that it like let you make models of different places, but it was a little bit more advanced. I'm not 100% sure what Figma does. Last I read, Adobe had tried to acquire it, but that deal was blocked in the EU for some reason. Anyway, well, no, it wasn't for some reason. It was because of anti competition laws. And anti-competition laws are one of those things that are like really weirdly named, like inflammable things, right? Inflammable, you assume it means fireproof generally, but no, it literally means like it can catch on fire. It is in as in possible to flame it. Okay, my subtitles right there say in as in impossible. That's not right. That is in as in possible. There we go. Anyway, also, I forgot. Right, anti-competition laws. Right, Figma. Right, the Adobe deal. Anyway, that thing got blocked like a poor combo, and for the time being, apparently that Figma program is free to students in the U.S., which I always think is a classy move. I always like it when programs are free to students. You know, obviously, I feel like to some extent it is a little bit questionable because those students are eventually going to be like working professionals who will need to pay for that program. But at the same time, I feel like it gives students a good opportunity. Like I definitely feel like my skills as an artist were improved by having access to Photoshop in high school. Granted, I probably didn't make as much use of it as I could, but hang on. Okay, so essentially, I'm going to have Gora here, kind of like just like essentially marching up from where she was in like almost like a like the raging demon move from Street Fighter, just to like kind of like shake Hawk's hand. Like I feel like she's a little bit starstruck, right? Like that's kind of like how she's written. She's a little bit starstruck. She wants to make a good impression. So I feel like she wouldn't go be like straight up like just swooning. She would try to like seem very professional at first. I always like it when characters have like their mouths like Muppet type. I think it's very endearing. It's also very useful, right? Because like if you know how to draw birds, right, this is kind of like how a bird would fully open their mouths, and dinosaurs were just like really far ancestors of birds. So in a way, knowing how to draw a bird lets you draw most lizards. This is true. You can trust me on this. I am only half joking. Like actually, I am only half joking. I guess this would just be how a bird would normally talk. Hmm. Much to think about. Okay, gotta tilt the aim of this. Gotta flick at the wrist a little. There we go. Oh yeah, speaking of interesting company moves, I remember reading about this one startup called Arda Biomaterials, right? Which is definitely a supervillain company name. Like these dudes are doing great work, right? Like their whole thing, right? Arda Biomaterials, their whole kind of like mission is to find ways to repurpose bio waste. In this case, in their particular case, there's a lot of different ways to do that. But their particular application of it is that they're going to take the barley grain waste, right? When you make beer, if you're making like barley based beer, you're going to end up with like a lot of like barley grain husks. So they're trying to repurpose those husks into a type of like faux leather. And I think that's awesome. My biggest issue with like faux leather to date is that it's basically just plastic. It's not like it's not like some kind of like wondrous material. It's just plastic. So the fact that this thing is going to be like zero plastic, zero anything, kind of like faux leather, hopefully easily biodegradable too. I feel like that's going to be a great move, especially if they can figure out how to make it like cost effective. I don't know. I always get excited when like fashion stuff is advanced towards an environmentally friendly thing. You know, especially stuff that could be applied for like fast fashion. Like we're not going to get rid of fast fashion anytime soon. I hope we do. We probably aren't. But if we're going to need to live with it, I hope at least they can pitch in for not even pitch in, but like if somebody can make like a biodegradable material that's cheaper than like whatever the hell they're using right now, I feel like that would be a great step in the right direction. That arm, yeah, okay, that arm is like way too long. I don't know. Should she have some kind of like bangle? I feel like she's missing a bangle. I don't know. The more I kind of like develop as a character, like it's so funny. A lot of the things that I thought I grew out of as a character, as in my character designs, are actually things that I'm starting to come back to more often. I used to hate having characters with like empty wrists, right? Like I always gave them like a pulsera or like some kind of bracelet or something like that, right? To kind of like make sure that their wrists weren't empty. And now, and after that, I was like, you know what? Nah, bracelets are lame. I'm gonna make it so that like their bare wrists look elegant. And I can still do that. But the thing is, right there's this thing in fashion called the three necks. Uh, well, to be fair, I learned this from a comic about fashion, so take it with a grain of salt. But essentially, the theory goes that you have three necks on your body, right? Like, let's take this representation of an average person, right? So you technically have kind of three necks that you can exploit. You have your neck, which is your neck, but that can generally be applied for like necklaces. It can be a tie, it can be a scarf, right? You you also have the neck, which is again quote unquote neck, which is on your wrist, which can be like a bracelet, a cuff link, some jewelry, something like that. And you have the wrist on the neck on your heels, on your ankles, which which often might be where like the hem of your pants are, right? You might have like an anklet there, or that's where your socks might show. And the ability to like have like a tight outfit is partially based on those three necks. So clearly demonstrating that there's a lot of talk of silhouette in fashion, right? So those are the places where you can have the most impactful silhouette. So like a choker with spikes on, for example, would be an impactful silhouette, or like having a turtleneck is also an impactful silhouette. And likewise, having like a well-fitted shirt, well-fitted pants, kind of like Timberlakes and stuff like that. Those are all different ways to kind of like exploit that theory of three necks. But essentially, you want to bring attention to those areas in some way, either by decorating them or like by kind of emphasizing the space between them. And since this is a sleeveless outfit, I'm kind of going to go for the former. Okay, let me take a look at this place. Okay. So, 2-point perspective. Gonna keep this going kind of like a little bit further up. Okay. What I might do one of these days is like make a backdrop of this place from like four perspectives. I don't know how much I'll need it though. I'll probably try to like plan out sketch out the story first and then figure out like what assets I need to use. I feel like that might be a more efficient way of working, but the one thing that I've learned about myself, perhaps more than anything else during my brief time in making comics, is that my strategies can be very mercurial. Like I'll be doing this one day, and then I'll actually do another thing. And while it still gets work done, the problem is that like that kind of inconsistency can cost a lot of time. It can be like if I have a solid plan and I deviate from it, then I'll probably spend some time making a new plan, and that's gonna suck. The plan won't suck. I mean, like the time wasted is what sucks. Okay, so we'll have Gora standing over here. I can't wait to make all sorts of silly Gora faces this time. Okay, so this is going to be like kind of clutching that little clipboard. Yeah, I gave her like these kind of like wide-brimmed airman pants. I don't know why they stopped making this kind of like stirrup leg wear. I mean, I'm not like saying we should bring it back by any means, but I am wondering why we stopped having that as a design choice. It does look a bit silly as a thing, like the way it emphasizes the hips, but that's kind of like on purpose for this character, right? It's supposed to be a little bit dorky. Okay, I have the tail kind of like pointing straight up like this. This tail is going to be a little bit more like pointed straight out. This one's going to be like Hmm. How would a lizard blush? I don't think cold-blooded creatures are generally capable of such feats. Well, we have the ever reliable like three, like the little three blush sticker marks from anime. So, God bless it for that. Yeah, we're gonna have her like leave after images. Okay, and right leg forward, left leg back. Wait, oh no, I've messed up the. Hang on, I messed up the like way she's holding the clipboard. She's supposed to be holding it with her right hand and then keeping the left one up, or the other way around. Hang on, what if I flipped the head here? I think that would also help with the perspective. Yeah, I just gotta change her point of her like eye line. Hang on, what if I like? There we go. If I turned this around, would it actually be able to be read easier? Because I feel like the action should kind of like follow. Hang on. No, no. The original way I had it was correct, even if it is a little bit harder to read. I don't know. I'll get Raf's input on this. He'll know what to do. What if, because like my thing, right, is that there's like, okay, I'm gonna try something again. I'm gonna separate Hawk and Horatio to a different layer. Panel 5. D H plus O. H and O. Knowing that the little symbol for and is called an ampersand is information that I thought would be much more relevant to my life than it actually was. Kind of like learning how that like those little like censored cuss words in newspaper comics are called grolixes. I don't know. When I first learned that, I thought it was awesome, but it turned out to be much less relevant than I had expected. Okay, clean that up a little bit. Nah. I think it's probably best to leave it as it is. If we need to make any edits, like my idea was to like have it so that from the perspective, you'd be able to see her coming in from all the way over here. But I feel like that would even create more confusion. Or maybe. Hang on. Big rain moment incoming. All right, I'm gonna copy and paste this version just so we don't lose anything. Okay, so second idea is to have a ratio be kind of like on the extreme opposite side, so that way it's a little bit. It's still like it generally still makes sense. Oops. And that way we can have her kind of like be over here. No. That unless hang on. Move this one a little bit closer in. Yeah, this just feels like a different version of what I had in mind originally. Yeah, it's the same thing, just tilted to the left. Yeah, no, I'm gonna stick with the original version for now. I think that should do it for the time being. Hmm. Or actually, a ratio being surprised is good, but this does call for him like having some dialogue as well. So, I don't want to think about the fact of whether or not a ratio has teeth. I don't know. Whenever like there's a bird character introduced and they somehow have teeth, like that's my problem with like bird-like beings is that I don't want to think about whether or not they have teeth. Like if they have human heads, right? If it's like a harpy or something, then it's really kind of a non-issue because I don't have to worry about somebody with a human head having teeth or not. I know they have teeth, but like if it's like some dude with like a dinosaur head like this, I don't know that they'd have teeth, bro. I don't know. Would they have teeth? They can if I wanted to. That's also the issue. Like, I'm no longer like I am like actively deciding whether or not this dude would have teeth. And you know what? I do feel like if he's just introducing her, he'd still be a little bit more surprised. That'll be a useful feature of like the panel 4 hang on. Wait. Which okay, I'm gonna call this panel 5 V1. Or V2. Yeah, I feel like that'll work. All right. Then Yeah, I think we're done for today. I'm gonna try and rest a little bit more. I've got some more stuff to do tomorrow, so it's been good talking to you. I'm glad to be streaming again. Who all is streaming right now, by the way? Who is out here transmitting radio waves? Oh, okay. So JB is doing some pixel art, so we'll go say hi to them. Yeah. Other than that, thank you all for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Catch you later. Bye.